Here's the problem. You're not factoring in so many other things, and I think that's where people make a mistake.
Do most people even understand those rules by the time they get to you?
If you haven't taken Social Security and you're considering either taking it early or taking it later, before you make that decision.
This is incredible. In this episode of the Financial Leadership Podcast, David Efraimi breaks down Social Security. What's fact, what's fiction, and what you need to know to make confident decisions. You'll discover the biggest Social Security myths that could impact your retirement planning, key tax considerations that may help you keep more of what you've earned, how to time your benefits based on your personal financial situation, and the latest rule changes that could affect your retirement strategy. Understanding Social Security is a key part of a strong retirement plan. This episode will help you think critically about your options and avoid common mistakes.
This is David Efraimi, co-founder and CEO of BAM Advisory Group. Welcome to the Financial Leadership Podcast. On today's episode, we have Chris Miller, former top advisor, CEO of multiple companies, fellow dog lover, friend. What's up, man?
What's up, buddy?
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks. So for those of you that are new to the show, that haven't listened to the Financial Leadership Podcast, the intention of the show is to provide a high level of value, a high level of education, so that what would make us the happiest is that you can walk away from the show and you've learned one thing very valuable that you could potentially implement into your own plan. It's not so that you can call the show and potentially be a client. BAM Advisory Group, what we're known for is protecting what's priceless, whether that's your time, your energy, and our family. And the more people we can educate, the more people that we can help, whether it's indirectly or directly, really just brings a ton of happiness to myself and the BAM fam, our team.
Yeah, guys, and I would say if you're new to the show, to help us spread the word of sound, financial advice and theories, is like and subscribe to the show. It helps us expand the show, reach more people. So if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, we would love you to like and subscribe or leave a review. Even in that review, you could tell us things you'd like to hear on the show, financial topics that you're interested in and want to learn more about. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the show. Again, it helps us reach a lot of people, and it would mean a ton to us as a team here at BAM. So please like and subscribe. And today we are talking about a really hot topic, and I'm going to turn it over to David, but the topic is Social Security. Very hot topic right now. I know there's some new rule changes coming out this year, and it's important for us to talk about this because I think there's a ton of misconceptions around Social Security. I know there is. And the question is how do I really maximize or potentially maximize my Social Security benefit? And how does that work within my investments or my investment strategy? And how do I really take full advantage of it? So, I'm going to turn it over to David to kind of lead us off with Social Security and the topic today.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, again, I'm David Efraimi, co-founder and CEO of BAM Advisory Group. I've been helping people build well-written plans, or my team and I have helped people build well-written plans for the past 25 years. And then again, we're going to talk about Social Security because I think the problem with Social Security is that most people look at Social Security through a peephole, meaning they say, hey, if I delay Social Security from 62 to 70, I get 8% more a year. I'm going to get a bigger benefit. Yes, that's true. But I think what's really important is that you have to factor in taxes and how they can impact your benefit. And then what happens if you take Social Security earlier? Does it help with your assets? So we're going to talk a lot about that. And then of course, there are some new rule changes this year.
So David, how many, and I know you probably don't have an exact stat on this, but how many retirees would you say rely primarily on Social Security?
Too many.
Yeah. And do you think that's just because they just don't, many people haven't saved enough, or they don't have, really well-written plans, or?
I think it always comes to well-written plans. I think financial advisors, unfortunately, have gotten a little lazy, where they just say, hey, take it at your full retirement age. Because if you take Social Security at full retirement age, that's the age where your benefit's not reduced.
When you say full retirement age for someone who's not.
If you're born after 1960, it's 67. Some of you, it's 66 and 10 months. So some of you is, 66 and 3 months. That says that on your Social Security. Basically, your full retirement age is the age you could take it where it's not going to be, your benefit's not going to be reduced. But again, if you listen to one of our previous episodes, we talked about life expectancy in the U.S. for males is 76 years old. So you're just going to have 10 years. There are benefits to taking Social Security earlier versus later. And we're going to show you an example here in a few minutes. And we're going to talk about how tax-wise it could benefit you from taking it earlier. The other benefit from taking Social Security early is if you're not pulling from your investments to supplement, then your investments are going to be worth more. So what's more valuable to you, right? Is your pool of investments worth more valuable to you, or is that monthly benefit from Social Security more benefit or more valuable to you? It depends on the person, right? There is no blanket way to take Social Security for everyone. It depends. Completely depends.
Over 25 years of working with clients, would you say most people have been sort of ingrained with taking it at that optimum time that they're recommending on that statement? Does that make any sense? Because I'm wondering, like, how many people actually just buy into that sort of blanketed statement of this is exactly when I should take this?
Well, yeah, from my perspective, 25 years, there's a couple of reasons why that's a problem. Most financial advisors don't do high-level comprehensive financial planning. What that means is that we're looking at every single available asset to see when's the best time for you to retire, to maximize it. Taxes, right? Taxes should always be the forefront of all of your conversation. We just recorded an episode on, understanding taxes and when you could pull money out of certain accounts and things like that. And Social Security should be the same way. Is, what's the best way to maximize my Social Security benefit, but also what are some different options I have so that I can pay, less taxes for a certain period of time.
Yeah. Would you say when most people come into the office, they don't even understand that, hey, I could take it earlier or later or defer it? Or do most people even understand those rules by the time they get to you?
Yeah, they understand the rules because, again, if you look at Social Security through a peephole, it's pretty basic, right? The earliest you could take it is 62. The latest you could take it is age 70. Most people believe, it's true. If the longer you delay it from 62 to 70, it's going to grow at 8% per year, right? All that is true. But you're not factoring in so many other things, and I think that's where people make a mistake. What's your health like? I've seen people delay Social Security to the point where after they took it, they had a heart attack and died 2 years later. So you left so much money on the table.
Yeah, which we just did an episode on that, which we'll link in this show note. But we literally talked about how retiring at 65 may be a mistake for a lot of people due to health factors and other things, or not maximizing certain retirement accounts. What would you say are the key factors that determine how much someone will get in Social Security benefit?
Well, it's what Social Security does. It takes their highest 35 years of earnings, right? And that's how they base your benefit. If you've worked fewer than 35 years, the missing years are counted as zero, which can significantly lower your benefit. And then, of course, with some recent legislation in the past, if you worked for the government, para, if you worked for, the state, you could fall under the windfall elimination provision or the government pension offset. And we're going to talk about some of the rules that were just passed recently. We're now going back to January of 2024 retroactively. If you did under those circumstances where you had the windfall, the WEP or the GPO, you're now going to be, you're actually going to get your money now.
Oh, nice.
Versus having your Social Security benefit reduced or eliminated.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are in your opinion, again, over your illustrious career, what are some of the biggest mistakes people make when actually claiming it?
Claiming Social Security?
Yeah.
Well, I think, here's a great mistake. I think Social Security is not going to be there for me.
For you personally?
No, not for me. Like, I'm just talking about a typical client walks in our office who's like 55, 60 or 65. I want to get it right now because I think the current administration is going to take it away.
So they're watching the news and they're sort of bought into that information loop of it.
But there is information that Social Security provides to you that says, by 2031, the Social Security Trust Fund is going to be exhausted. What that means is most likely you're going to receive 79 cents on the dollar. That number, remember when COVID happened and people weren't working, part of what funds Social Security is, your FICA tax, right? When you're working, your income gets taxed, it's your FICA tax. So when people weren't working for a period of time and no one was paying FICA tax, actually Social Security was actually saying the trust fund was going to be exhausted a little bit earlier. But, that's all been recalibrated. But, there's every year you hear that they're going to do something with Social Security. They're going to, they're going to move early retirement to 64. or, they're going to remove spousal benefits. I think what's important is that you meet with a financial advisor who understands Social Security to its fullest, because there's still a lot of options, spousal benefits. What's the benefit if I take it early versus if I take it late? How does that affect my overall assets? How does it affect my taxes? I mean, it's just, again, you don't want to look at Social Security through people.
So David, what should people know about spousal and survivor Social Security benefits?
Okay. Spousal and survivor benefits are another critical yet overlooked component of Social Security. If you're married, you may be eligible up to 50% of your spouse's benefit instead of your own if it's higher. So you've got to understand, how spousal benefits impact. If you're divorced, Social Security still offers opportunities. If you're married for at least 10 years and have not remarried, you may be able to claim spousal benefits based upon your ex-spouse's earnings. And by doing that, it doesn't affect your current spouse, again, if we're talking about spousal benefits, or it doesn't affect your ex-spouse. There's millions of unclaimed benefits.
That's crazy. So you're saying if someone's married to somebody for a while and that one of the partners passes away, that the surviving partner may have access to a portion of that other spouse's, the deceased spouse's benefit.
Yeah. Well, the good news with Social Security now, when you file for benefits, you automatically are eligible for all benefits that factor into all of those situations. But again, by working with a financial advisor who understands taxes, your overall plan, were you previously married or not? Do you have a deceased spouse? Because if you have a deceased spouse, it may make sense to take your benefit first, delay it, and take theirs. Or it just make more sense to take your deceased spouse benefits and not even mess around with yours. And working with a financial advisor that has the sophisticated tools, understanding of how to build a well-written plan is going to factor all that in and show you all your options so you can maximize it.
So you're saying there's millions of dollars of unclaimed spousal benefits. So this might be in a hypothetical, a client who has a couple $1 million, a spouse passes away, they don't know that they're entitled to that extra benefit. That extra benefit, if they knew about it, could be reinvested somewhere else to create life insurance advantages for their children, et cetera.
It's a mess.
You're saying that's often overlooked.
Social Security is still functioning, I think, like it's in the 1800s.
Right. Why do you think most people don't know about these benefits? I mean, most people aren't talking about it or teaching it.
Well, I'll take the onus on this one because I think it's up to the advisor that you're working with. And then I think if you're not working with a financial advisor, you're just Googling Social Security, and we like the internet. It does provide good information, but a holistic financial advisor, you should ask your financial advisor, how much do you know about Social Security? Some might just say, hey, the longer you delay it, the bigger the benefit. That's not the answer you're looking for. You want to make sure that your advisor can maximize every single dollar, and that includes Social Security.
Yeah. I know you have an example of something you want to share with the audience. Yeah.
So here's an example. And again, this is not a client of ours. This is just an example.
Hypothetical.
Yeah, hypothetical of the advantage of taking Social Security early. So again, this example is showing you the advantage of taking Social Security earlier versus your full retirement age. Because again, if you wait to take Social Security to your full retirement age, that's the year. If you take it earlier in full retirement age, then your benefit gets reduced. Full retirement age, you get your full benefit. Obviously, at age 70 would be your largest benefit. So here you can see we have Joe and Sally client. Okay. The tax year is 2025. They are 64 years old. And in this example, hypothetical example, they're waiting till their full retirement to take their Social Security. So that would be 67. Okay. They need to net about $56,000 in retirement income. So how they're getting their income is $60,000 from their IRAs, which they're going to do for the next 3 years, and then they're going to claim their Social Security benefit. So when we talk about, it's just not as simple as looking through Social Security to people. Here we're factoring in taxes. Taxes should always be the lead conversation into any decision that you make when it comes to pulling out money from investments, triggering a pension, Social Security, inheritances. We can go on and on and on. So now we're going to talk about Social Security, the impact of taxes, benefits of potentially taking it early. So this example $60,000 puts these clients in the 12% marginal tax bracket. That means every dollar taking, if you follow this line as we go all the way up to $126,000 is going to be taxed at the 12% bracket. Their federal income tax liability is about $3,100. Their effective rate or their blended tax rate's about 5%, so low tax bracket. So in this example, we want to highlight, what if we took Social Security early, blended Social Security in with some of their other IRA income? What would be the net effect, right? So now all we're going to do, instead of having them take $60,000 from their IRAs, we're going to have them take $10,000 from their IRAs, and then we're going to trigger their Social Security benefit, which is $50,000, right? Again, taking it early, what's the net effect? So the first net effect, positive, what you're going to see is if we blend in Social Security, about $50,000, $10,000 from their IRAs, what you're going to notice right here is they pay no federal income tax. Yes, zero federal income tax. So the net effect to them is about $3,100. And if that's your income, $3,100, that's an extra trip. That's buying extra gifts for your grandkids. That's playing more golf. That's a lot of money for someone that's living off of $60,000. $3,100 is another, what is that? A little bit more than 5% more income, adjusting for inflation, go out to nice dinners, you name it. So net effect number one of potentially taking Social Security early, if you're watching this, is that if you do it and blend in IRA income, number one, you'll pay less taxes. Number two, now you've got to think about that $50,000 from Social Security is not what? It's not coming from your investments. So this now gives your investments more time to grow. And here's the thing about Social Security. We don't know how long you're going to live. You got to live about 13 and a half, 14 years is kind of the break-even point from the time you take it. So if you wait to your full retirement age, what you're saying is that you've got to live till 81 to make that benefit worth it. And we all know right now, life expectancy in the United States of America is 77 for males and about 80, 81 for females. So statistics are saying if you take Social Security at 67 for a male, you're not going to realize the full benefit. You might have taken it earlier. So that's example number one. Now, what you're going to notice here in this example, see how this little green line, there's still no taxes, for a little bit longer. So now we're going to say, what if we were to pull a little bit more money out of your IRAs while maintaining your Social Security income at $50,000? Or maybe we do something like a Roth conversion. Can we do so and keep you, at a very low tax bracket or no taxes? So I'm just going to change. I'm going to keep the Social Security benefit the same for both of them at $50,000, but now we're going to pull out $20,000 from your investments, IRAs, instead of 10. What you're going to notice again, no income tax. So federal income tax. So in that first example, we were pulling out $60,000 from IRAs. We were paying $3,000 in taxes. Now we're pulling out $70,000 from IRAs and paying no taxes. That's an additional $13,000 of income that I can pull out by blending in Social Security earlier. Maybe you want to spend all that money. Maybe you want to help out a kid, or maybe you want to start doing Roth conversions with some of this excess money that you could do at zero taxes. And for some of you that are watching this, if you've never had anyone do this for you, I encourage you to click on the link, schedule a no obligation, no cost call with one of our advisors, because there could be some, potential tax savings or, strategies that we can show you that could be a game changer. Now, some of you are going, hey, I want $150,000 retirement. David, what does it look like for me? Again, there's always unique strategies that we could take advantage of for high net worth individuals, or, people that have between $500,000 to $1 million, $1 million to $2 million, $5 million, $10 million plus. The strategies get more advanced. But, again, we're talking about Social Security, and it's just not as simple as saying, hey, I'm going to delay it till age 70. We want to factor in some unique opportunities like what we just discussed right now.
One of the things I've heard you talk about, which I am obviously a fan of and pro, is taking some of that excess money. I think what's incredible is that you can show people this and you can change the numbers to however they need it to fit for them. I think the immediate value in understanding how to maximize your Social Security benefit is obvious. I mean, you could put a number to that. It's very clear that if you understand how it works and how to integrate it with your, current investments that you can really, maximize benefit, which I think anyone tuning into this clicked on it because they want to learn, how do I keep more of my money? One of the things I've heard you guys talk about is that potential surplus of income is potentially moving some of that into life insurance, which I don't think most people have seen or heard of before, so that they can potentially leave, again, hypothetical examples, potentially leave more money to their heirs.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways. You could either take that potential income, do a Roth conversion, leave that money tax-free, or if your intention is to transfer wealth tax-free, you'll get more bang for in certain circumstances. It really just depends, and we can model this out. In certain circumstances, if your health is good, like in this example, let's just say that extra $10,000 didn't mean a lot to you, and that's money that you wanted to give to your kids, but maybe you didn't want to give it to them today. Maybe you want to leave that as an inheritance. It may make sense to take some of that excess income that we showed in this example and maybe fund a second to die life insurance policy. It's all about working with a team, your financial advisor that will give you all the different options to show you what's in your best interest, what gives you the best outcome, what helps you maximize all of your assets, Social Security, and helps you pay the least amount of taxes over time.
And so some of the changes that happened recently with WEP and GPO, those have long been a source of concern for public sector employees such as teachers, firefighters, and police officers. These rules changed or reduced Social Security benefits for individuals, but as of January 2025, marks a major change, eliminating those rules. Now, did the rule actually go into effect that they did eliminate WEP and GPO in January?
Yeah, they actually retroacted it to January. So we're talking about the Social Security Fairness Act that was enacted in January of 2025, and the intention of the act was to eliminate any deduction or reduction that you had to your Social Security benefit through WEP, which is the windfall elimination provision, or GPO, which is a government pension offset. And so they're making this retroactive. So they're actually going back to January of 2024. And of course, Social Security is updating people in real time. New information's coming out daily. But the essence of this is if you fall in, if you work for the state or the government and you fall into the category where you maybe weren't receiving a Social Security benefit because you have a pension, there were years where you didn't pay into FICA, they're now gonna potentially, you potentially either get an increase in benefit if you're getting a benefit, or you might start getting a Social Security benefit. There hasn't been a set timeline when checks will be mailed out, but they're actually making this retroactive to January of 2024. In a BAM advisory group, we work with all different types of people. So we do have, firefighters, teachers, people that are on para, people that work for, thrift savings pensions through the government. So this is just going to be an extra surplus. So again, so this is why it's important. If you are eligible for a benefit, we need to know what that benefit is, how much you're going to get, and then taxes. Is it increase your tax bracket? Is it going to affect other sources of income?
That's smart. I want to jump in right there. So you're saying if WEP, again, if you had a pension and weren't paying into FICA, that's where this rule was sort of implemented.
Yes.
They are retroactively trying to adjust for that, essentially.
Yeah. I always wonder where they're going to get the money, but they're just going to get the money from
the DOGE reductions in federal government.
Or it's our generation that's going to pay more in tax for the people that are using it right now.
First of all, where do people, if they're not calling you or an advisor, where do they learn if they get this benefit or not? Do they just go to
Social Security website
and just enter your information and it'll give it to you?
Yep. Or go down there. God forbid it's like worse than DMV. You'll be in line for like 4 hours.
So what you are saying though that I think is important to highlight here is if you do find out you are receiving additional benefit, it makes sense to go meet with somebody to understand if that additional income bumps you into a different tax bracket. And if it does, how do you adjust for that? So you could either sort of blindly go into it and accept that benefit and go, hooray, more money. Yeah, and go spend it or whatever you want to do with it. But it could bump you up into another tax bracket and affect your overall retirement strategy.
Absolutely. I mean, it may be something where, maybe let's just say this. Let's just say that your Social Security benefit, you were eligible for $3,000, but your WEP or GPO cut that benefit in half, so you're getting $1,500, and now you're eligible for the full $3,000. Is that extra $1,500 or $18,000 a year? How's that going to affect your taxes? Maybe we should adjust distributions that you're taking from another source, because now if that extra benefit puts you in an extra tax bracket, maybe that's going to affect the strategy. Or maybe since it's more Social Security benefit, like the example I showed you, it's interesting if you're blending in your distributions, like I showed you, some Social Security, some IRAs, your taxes actually could be lower for a period of time potentially. So we just want to do this is what our client, for us to protect what's priceless for our clients, it's making sure that we're proactive versus reactive. So any one of our clients that falls into this category, we are recalculating their financial plan and showing them scenarios to leverage their assets or reduce distributions from other sources.
Which we talked about in a prior episode. Guys, David and I lamented on the idea that it is wild in today's day and age with all the technology that people aren't taking more advantage of meeting with a comprehensive team who can use software and their 25 plus years of experience to really show people what seems like something minimal. I think a lot of people listening to this, the average person, even if they have a good nest egg, might go, I don't really, that $1,300, or if it's combined spousal benefits, if it bumps you up even more. I don't think people really, in fact, I know they don't understand that extra 40, 50 grand a year could cost them quite a bit of money. And with some simple switches, they could end up saving a tremendous amount of money. And to David's point, if it goes into a Roth or a life insurance plan, potentially people with that extra money could triple the amount that goes or double the amount that goes to their family tax-free.
Yeah, it just depends. Now, maybe some people want to spend all their money. They don't want to leave anything to their kids. Amen. We love clients that spend money.
You could spend it on me if you want. I'm available.
Get you some more cool kicks.
Yeah, I'm available for adoption.
Another major change that is coming through this Social Security, the Social Security Fairness Act, is the increase in your earnings limit for early claimers. Before 2025, if you claim Social Security before your full retirement benefit and continue to work, your benefits were reduced if your earnings exceeded a set limit. In 2025, the earnings limit has been raised, allowing retirees to earn more without having their benefits penalized. I always didn't like the fact that if you took your Social Security benefit, Social Security is means tested. That means if you took it early and worked too much, they would reduce it more. That made zero sense to me. So, we're liking some of the things that are coming out of this new rule change for 2025. I think most of it has a positive impact.
Yeah, it definitely does. The GPO, so we didn't touch on this completely. GPO affected spousal or survivor benefits.
Yeah.
If someone received a government pension from non-covered employment, their spousal or survivor benefits were reduced by 2/3 of their pension amount. So essentially saying, if you were earning a pension while filing jointly as a couple and someone passes away, that rule, which has now been fixed, would have reduced your spousal benefit.
Yeah. So now you're just going to get a bigger benefit. You're still going to get your pension, but now that up to 2/3 reduction now goes away. So there's a lot of people that are going to have a option or will receive a bigger Social Security benefit.
Does the government actually, we've been hearing about a lot of inefficiencies in the government recently with Elon Musk creating havoc inside the system. Does the government know just to send that out? Or do people literally have to go input information into a system?
Yeah, actually, we had a couple clients come into our office that got a notification.
Okay, so the government is presumably on top of
as much it's through snail mail as much as they can. The bottom line is that you have to have a good advisor that's on top of this stuff, that knows your situation intimately so that they could be proactive versus being reactive. Look, we like to say at BAM Advisory, we want to protect what's priceless, and that's your time. That's your energy. Allow us to understand all these rule changes and come to you with real-time strategies so that you can spend more time doing what you love with those who you love.
Learning new hobbies, maybe starting a stream where you play video games and there's actually a woman who's blowing up. Maddie would know this on Twitch. She's 70 and she's one of the top gamers in the world, which I think is pretty cool. What are some strategies you showed a great example. One of them obviously for maximizing Social Security benefit would be verify your Social Security record. You can go to ssa.gov and verify that. So if you haven't done that in a while, might be good to go and
yeah, Social Security could have you in years where you you didn't report any income, so it might show as 0. And that could be impacting your overall benefit. Because remember, they take the highest 35 earning years and apply it to their, trademark, process that, only, if anyone wants to try to figure that out, you've got too much time on your hands. But the bottom line, you should always be looking at your Social Security earnings record to see if there's any years where Social Security is saying 0, meaning you didn't pay FICA tax, and you're like, no, I actually worked those years. And we've had clients do that and, got a little bump in their benefit.
Yeah, that's huge. One of the recommendations is, and we've talked about it, there's benefits to either delaying it or not. It depends. David on every episode and every video always talks about you are a unique snowflake. Everybody's different. Everybody has different needs and wants. And so everybody's plan is going to be incredibly different. Could you clarify, because this is something I didn't know, if someone does delay Social Security retirement benefits beyond full retirement age, there's an 8% increase per year until age 70?
Yeah, from 6. Well, if you're let's just say your full retirement is age 67. From 67 to 70, your benefit does go up 8% a year.
Wow. And so that's something you guys factor in into these plans as well, right?
Yeah, we actually will show a prospective client multiple Social Security options, so they see both the positive and I want to say negative, all of your options to show you by taking it early versus later. Again, by taking it early, sometimes depending upon your income needs, you can be in a very low tax bracket for a while, and that allows us to do things like Roth conversions or allows you to spend more at a lower tax bracket. The other net benefit, again, of taking it early is that your investable assets, since they're not being pulled from, are going to be worth more, because the one thing we never know is how long you're going to live. And with life expectancy being 77 for males and 81 for females, if you're waiting till full retirement age, you're there's not 100% chance that you're going to live long enough to even see the value in you delaying the benefit. So it just really matters what's more important to you, how much income you need, all your other sources and things like that.
I mean, again, I would encourage anybody, again, this is why, in the last episode we shot, David was really blowing my mind on how valuable seeing everything really is. Like, I told a story on the last show that I got a Whoop and it tracks my body indexes, and it's been blowing my mind. If you have access to that information, you should go get it. And have someone like David's team run you through a ton of scenarios so you really know and understand your options. Stop playing golf in the dark. Stop shooting dartboards in the middle of the night when you can't see the dartboard. There's ways to minimize your stress level by understanding where the end is and what your options are. If you're listening to this and you've had some health issues, act sooner than later, right? Make sure you maximize all the benefits you have available to you. One of the suggestions that you hear on the news and stuff like that is work additional years in Social Security covered environment, or just work extra years. You showed us an example in another show about someone working extra years. Would you run us through that again? So in this scenario, they pull out that money. Walk us through the rest of the scenario. Because I see two different graphs.
Yeah, so what the graph signifies, if we pull out more money, then we're probably going to pay some tax on it. So what I could do is I could just...
So wait, quick question. So someone comes in and they go, cool, 120 grand, tax-free. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. To make that in the real world, you're at what? Over 200 plus.
If you're married, probably like 175, whatever. It just depends on more.
So tax-free. And then what you're maybe about to go through is someone goes, hey, I need to make a little bit more.
Yeah.
You can build all that in.
Yeah. So we can build it in right here. We just go, hey, what if the wife goes, well, that sounds good, but I want to work part-time and make $30,000. Okay. I'm sorry. So that would be earned income. We'll just put $30,000. Yeah. I just want to, I don't know, go work at a furniture store or go do something. Who knows? So we can go in real time, hit update scenarios. And now what you're going to see, that $30,000, right? That 30
in part-time income.
Part-time income, here's what it did. Now you're going to be paying about $4,200 of income tax on that $30,000, because when you start here's the problem with taxes is that when you start blending in all these different sources of income, work income or pension income or social security income or IRA income or capital gains and dividends, the tax code is completely just this weird dynamics, like the matrix. Like most people don't, like what you said is you got to pull out the money at the right times, at the right ages for the right reasons, or you're going to pay too much. So in this scenario, that $30,000 actually causes about $4,200 of taxes on their, or I'm sorry, long-term capital gains and income tax. We got about $4,200 of taxes that you're going to pay on there. So you're no longer at zero on the capital gains and dividends tax. That ordinary or that earned income creates actual tax income on your capital gains and dividends.
So you would go in and adjust that so they're below that. If they go, hey, I don't want to pay taxes on any of that,
then we say you shouldn't go to work. Spend more time with your husband. Or if the husband says I want to do part-time work. And maybe them paying $4,200 is not that big of a deal. And they're like, I want the part-time work because I'm going to drive my wife crazy.
Guys, I mean, it's no, this is blowing my mind, and I've been around this business for a long time. It's crazy to me how few people have a plan for anything. Losing weight, their relationships, especially money. This is incredible. The fact that you can manipulate the number and go, hey, if you do want to go to work, here's the tax implication of that decision. Do you really want the money that bad?
Yeah. And can I make an analogy? You said losing weight, right? So I think I can give this analogy. Maybe this makes sense for the financial planning. I want to lose weight. So what do you think about? I got to go work out. So I work out 4 days a week and I just go lift or I walk or I run. Okay. And then you're like, yeah, I really believe I'm eating good. Okay. The only way that you could really maximize like health and, if you want to call it weight loss or weight reduction or building muscle is you really need to sit down with a trainer, a professional that will do an assessment on you, actually probably spend an hour with you watching you move to see where your body, what type of workout should we be doing to make sure if your body has certain limitations or you have flexibility issues to make sure we're, helping that area. Also too, do you want to build muscle? Do you want to lose weight? There's certain workouts that you should be doing and not be doing. And then 6-pack, your abs are not made by you running around the block. The 6-pack's made in the kitchen.
Right.
Do you track your calories? Do you know how much protein? Like if you put in that amount of work to understand all of that, I promise you in 6 to 12 months, you'll be at the best physical shape you've ever been. But people just, I don't want to say free ball it, but
No, we all do.
Wing it.
We're all white knuckling life, just hoping it works out.
It's no different than having a bunch of investments. You think you're doing it right because, maybe you read something or whatever. And there's a lot, we know with ChatGPT and AI and the internet, there's all this information. But having a well-written plan by a team of people that you can build a relationship with and trust is the best way for you to maximize your ability to retire early, not run out of money, continue growing your wealth, and pay the least amount of taxes.
What do you want to end on Social Security with, in your opinion?
I just think, look, if you haven't taken Social Security and you're considering either taking it early or taking it later, before you make that decision, you should meet with a financial advisor to show you all the different outcomes of the pros and cons of doing it later versus doing it sooner, and what effect does it have on taxes, your assets, all that other stuff. Because after you make this decision, yes, within the first year, you could stop Social Security, pay back what you got, but after your first year, that you're locked in. You can't go back and change that.
What do you mean? So once someone locks in an early retirement withdrawal from Social Security,
you have 12 months. In the first 12 months, you can call Social Security and say, I don't want this anymore. Pay it all back. And then,
so if you get buyer's remorse, they can reverse it, but it's 12 months.
12 months. After that, you're stuck.
Meaning it's just locked in at that rate.
And when you lock in Social Security and you have other assets, you've now locked in a certain amount of income that goes in your tax bracket that, limits your ability to do things like tax planning and other unique strategies. So you gotta make sure you're.
And to clarify that, what do you mean? So like once someone's locked in and they're just sending it to you.
So let's say you and your wife decided to trigger Social Security and it's going to be $50,000. That's $50,000 that goes into your tax bracket that we can't reverse. And now you're limited to do things like Roth conversions or gifting. I mean, there's just certain things that you're limited to because you have all this income that's going to come in, and that's not going to change. Like your IRA income, you can start and stop at any time. Your Social Security income after 12 months, you're locked in. So you're locked into that bracket.
And why would taking that extra income potentially exclude them from any Roth conversions? Because you can't, now there's no
less
buffer.
To convert. No, there's less to convert.
Copy that. Right. So like, and walk me through that. So less to convert from where?
Well, let's just say your tax bracket is filled in, $50,000 comes in from Social Security, and you want to do a $100,000 conversion. That $100,000 conversion is going to cost you more because you have $50,000 from Social Security already filling the tax bracket. Versus if you just did the $100,000 conversion without any other sources of income, you would technically pay less for the conversion because you don't have all that other income filling in the bracket.
Right. So there's potentially huge implications for people making this decision.
If you're watching this and most of your income, if not all of it, Social Security, I don't think there's a lot of value we can create for you because but we're really talking to people who have all this other income.
Right.
That's the kind of people we want, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, in closing, that's changes coming to Social Security. The retroactive amounts you may be getting. I think the obvious crux of this conversation is making those decisions, whether it's early or late, can have huge impacts on your overall retirement, from withdrawal to if you can convert to Roths. For some of you, if you can retire early or not. And so, yeah, I mean, it makes me want to call my parents and say, hey, do you guys understand your full Social Security benefit? And have you sat with a comprehensive team who can help walk you through it? So, anything in closing, David?
No, I just think if you found this information valuable, please like and subscribe to the show. It really helps us get into other people's hands. If you would like a Social Security maximization report and to show you some of the things that we talked about, there's a link in the show notes, or there's a link where you can click on and schedule a 15-minute, no cost, no obligation meeting with one of our advisors. And there's a bunch of information we could potentially help you out with.
That's a show. Like and subscribe, everybody. We'll see you in the next episode.
All right. Thank you. Once again, this is David Efraimi, co-founder and CEO of BAM Advisory Group, also a licensed investment advisor representative. If you would like to see how we help our clients protect what's priceless, how we've helped our clients for the past 25 years, please visit our website at www.bamadvisorygroup.com and schedule a no cost, no obligation meeting with one of our advisors. If you're enjoying the content and you're enjoying the show, please like and subscribe. Thanks again, and we'll talk with you soon.